Assalamu alaikum guys, welcome back. Let's get into it.
He's unarmed and on his own land. Yet these are the moments before Saeed al-Amour is shot by an Israeli settler in the West Bank. It's not the first time settlers have come to Saeed's olive groves. For over a year, we've filmed as they've seized more and more of his land and used false accusations to lay the groundwork for a bloody attack. This is the story of how a 60-year-old Palestinian is shot defending his home and how the shooter walks away unpunished. Our story begins in January 2024, just a few months after the October 7th attacks. We're with a Palestinian activist called Sami Huraini, and he's just had a call from a farmer who needs help.
يروم يراد لهم بيجي ساعة يروم بركبوا في مصير شايف؟
وين وصلوا؟
يروم مسلم عند ترى شخص عند فوق.
طب شو والله شيك يعني ولا شو؟
والله ما هو مركبوا شيك ولا يروم من فوق بلش مواسير شايفين؟ نزلوا حاجة في الأرض وحطوا هنا.
طب تخرفوا نشوف اطلع.
يا.
اركب.
ماشي.
Sami finds Saeed, who can't believe his land is just being taken by the settlers.
أنا أول ما أجوا بقى يحسوا قلت له كان في زيتون شاف ابعد لغاية ابعد لغاية ولا هو لو بده يدخل ساعة بيدخل لها.
شو طلع كاد شو قالوا لك شو حكيتش معاهم؟
We've seen title deeds dating back to 1953 that show Saeed is the legal owner of this land. As the Israeli settlers carry on fencing it off, some children start removing the poles. But it's the settlers who claim Saeed is the thief.
סעיד גנב את העמוד ולקח אותו. זה היה קיימתי שאיף ששנים עדיין ישראל לקרוא ישראל. עם חמאסניקים שגנבו את הגבול. הנה האנטישמים וכל הנאצים ועוזריהם יימח שמם. יאללה.
Even baseless accusations can lead to arrest. So rather than protest the land seizure, Saeed has to defend himself.
بتقول لي أنت جناب. بتقول لي أنت جناب. ودي مش لانه أنا مش جناب. فاهمودي مش لك أختها. ها؟ فاهمودي مش لك أختها.
As the argument develops, the Israeli settlers turn on our camera. Since the October 7th attacks, they've been armed by the Israeli government and are now de facto law enforcement. Eventually, the poles are returned and the illegal fence building continues. A year on, in April of this year, and the settlers are back harassing Saeed and taking his olive grove. Once again, they're fencing off his land. The video of what happens next is shocking. It's being filmed by Saeed's son, Ilyas. 3 settlers can be seen on Saeed's land. The man with the gun is Benjamin Budenheimer. He's responsible for security in the Israeli settlement of Avigail, which is almost 1 kilometre away from Saeed's olive groves. It's illegal under international law, yet more and more Israeli settlements are being established across the West Bank. Determined to stop them building the fence, Saeed tries to unplug their drill. Remember, there are 3 settlers present. One of them has just attacked Ilyas from behind and is now restraining him on the ground. Saeed tries to help his son while another settler kicks him. Then 2 shots in the air. Saeed is dragged away and shot at point-blank range. Israeli soldiers are quick to arrive. Saeed's alive, but bleeding badly. Ilyas is still pinned to the ground. Crowds of settlers, Palestinians, and activists.
This is what the Palestinians go day after day. Right now, it's on steroids. What you see in occupations, they want to take Gaza City, they're blowing up, in a governmental level. This is settler level. They go around, backed by the police, the army. They even have equipment. They have guns. They come to your house, your land. They say this is our land, 2,000 years ago, bullshit like that. And so you can't even call the police. You can't even shoot them or kill them coming onto your land. Because you'll be enemy of the state. Even though you have the right to.
But there is no actual hard evidence that he was a Hamas terrorist. The only evidence appears to be old pictures of him with Hamas leaders, of which there would be many people in Gaza who would do pictures of that nature with the governing body. This is prior to October the 7th. I think judging people as terrorists prior to October the 7th, when this was a government that was being financially supported by Israel, amongst others, to the tune of billions of dollars, is pretty disingenuous. And the reason this has inflamed tension so much, both in Gaza and around the world, is twofold, Ambassador. One is that, as you know, foreign journalists have been banned from entering Gaza for the last 2 years, since October the 7th, which is in direct contravention of how almost every war zone ever in modern times has operated in relation to foreign journalists being allowed to do their jobs. So it's been impossible to verify a lot of these claims that the IDF makes about incidents like this. But secondly, if it turns out this guy was not actually a Hamas terrorist, then what has happened here is that a group of journalists have been targeted deliberately in a war crime. And this is not the first a group of journalists in Gaza have been killed. Over 200 journalists now, Palestinian journalists, have been killed in Gaza since the start of the war, which is more than the number of journalists killed in pretty much every other post-Second World War war put together. At what point are you concerned about what appears to be an ongoing attack on press freedom? And would you like to see Western journalists, international journalists, allowed in to freely operate, not embedded with the IDF, but freely operate and do their jobs so that we can actually get to the bottom of so many of the claims that Israel's been making?
Well, I want to again say, I don't have the evidence that you seem to think you have regarding this guy's innocence. I don't know. If I have to take the word of the Israelis or Hamas, I'll be honest, I'm going to lean with the Israelis far quicker.
Thing is, that gentleman, he's part of the US team, Donald Trump's team, basically. They're Zionists. Obviously they're going to lean more towards Israel than Hamas, because they believe that, once Israel makes the whole of Israel to conquer it, kick out the Christians, but they're Palestinians and Christians, so they want to kick them out, kick out the Muslims, which are the majority, and they want to make everything a Jewish land, the Holy Land, the Greater Israel Project. So I think this is the prophecy we're witnessing before our hand.
That I'm going to lean with Hamas.
He lied about Anas al-Sharif and his crew. He said that the evidence points to them being Hamas, as you pointed out. No one who's looked at any of the evidence provided by Israel says that's evidence of Hamas. All he had was that, he was spotted taking a picture with the leadership of Hamas. So if you stand next to an accused terrorist or someone on the American terrorist watch list, that makes you a target, because I would point out Mike Pompeo is in a picture standing next to the Taliban. Donald Trump is in a recent picture standing next to the former leader of al-Qaeda in Syria. Is that what?
If you notice, when Donald Trump went to the Middle East to collect the $5 trillion, he went to Saudi Arabia, and what was there was the Salman bin the president or the governing body, Saudi Arabia, and the Syrian government. He was there as well. He was a former Al-Qaeda leader, terrorist organization. They're in the watch list. They shake hands with Donald Trump. And what Israeli is saying is that this journalists that they killed, they were friends with Hamas or work with Hamas. They are Hamas, So by that definition, you should kill Donald Trump. Is that what you're saying? That doesn't make any sense.
We're now classifying as a justification for killing someone?
Guys, we really need to stop falling for Israeli propaganda. These humanitarian pauses are neither humanitarian nor are they pauses. Israel continues to enact its genocide of the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. They continue to do this with impunity, and every humanitarian solution that they offer ends in disaster. Now, the UN OCHA estimates that 1,200 Gazans have died and 8,000 been injured since the introduction of the Gaza Humanitarian Fund in late May. The extreme public backlash to the GHF has caused Israel to adopt a new strategy, where they are now instituting these things they are calling humanitarian pauses on a daily basis to allow trucks to enter Gaza. Now, Israel is claiming that 270 trucks per day are being allowed to enter the Gaza Strip. Independent monitors are saying that number is closer to 70. And once you account for the difficulties of navigating the Strip and all of the delays that come with that, as well as looting by starving Gazans and armed groups, some of which are aligned with Israel, that number gets closer to 28. That is 28 trucks entering the Gaza Strip, a population that the UN estimates needs 600 trucks a day just to stave off famine. But Israel clearly has no intention of staving off famine, otherwise they would listen to these agencies, which have once again declared that the only conditions in which they can safely operate and effectively operate inside the Gaza Strip are conditions of a permanent ceasefire, which we are no closer to than we were 6 months ago. And so, when the anger of the West rises, they open a small trickle of aid into the Strip and then claim that they're doing everything they can, just so that they can get people off their back. Because they answer to the Western governments, and the Western governments are actually capable of stopping their genocide. These governments hold Israel's leash, and we are the only ones who can put pressure on these governments, which is why we cannot for an instant let up the pressure on Israel. We need to continue calling for a ceasefire, boycotting American companies that work with Israel, boycotting all Israeli companies and imported Israeli goods. We need to make every single one of our elected officials, Democrat and Republican, so embarrassed to step out of their homes and go to their offices while supporting this genocidal apartheid state that they are dragged in shame to the negotiating table. To do anything less than this is to resign ourselves to the myth that there is nothing we can do. It is your responsibility, it is my responsibility to do everything in our power to alleviate the suffering of Gaza, to hold.
This guy just gave a solution, that if you're not doing it now, you should start doing it, start boycotting, all these companies. There's an app called No Thanks. You download it on the App Store or Android store. You just scan the barcode on any item, and it tells you, if it's on the list or not. For example, it's a Coca-Cola that's on the list. Any major brands that you like, unfortunately, they might be on the list. So stay alert.
Israel accountable for its actions, to force our government to negotiate a permanent ceasefire.
This is Al Jazeera breaking news just coming out. Sad breaking news out of Gaza, where Al Jazeera journalist Anas al-Sharif has just been killed in what appears to be a targeted Israeli strike. All of this according to the director of the Al-Shifa hospital. Anas was killed after a tent for journalists was hit outside the main gate of the hospital. The well-known Al Jazeera correspondent reported extensively from northern Gaza. The 28-year-old was a key source of news from Gaza City and the north for international audiences since Israel's war on the Strip began some 22 months.
Alright guys, I'm going to end the video there. If you're new to the channel, please like, share and subscribe. Assalamu alaikum.